Hi, everyone. Stop what you're doing because what I'm picking up on right now is so intense I can barely breathe. There's a question hanging in the air around you. A question that hasn't been asked out loud yet, but you can feel it everywhere. In the silence between you and someone, in the way certain conversations keep almost happening, but don't, in the tension that builds every time you're in the same space. Do you want me or not? Welcome back. It's Anna. And what I'm sensing today is this quality of unspoken truth that's becoming too big to ignore. Not a conversation that's coming, but one that's already here, already pressing, already demanding to be had, whether you're ready or not. Let me tell you what's making my heart race as I tune into this. You may notice there's someone in your current life where things feel unresolved, unclear, undefined, and you've both been dancing around this for so long that the dance itself has become exhausting. Some people experience this as a constant low-level anxiety. You don't know where you stand. You don't know what this is. You don't know if you're reading too much into it or not reading enough. And that uncertainty, it's eating away at your peace. It can feel like you're rereading text messages, looking for hidden meanings, analyzing tone, counting hours between responses, trying to decode whether their actions match their words or if you're just seeing what you want to see. Let's pause for a moment because this feels critically important. This reflection invites you to consider, what if the confusion you're experiencing isn't because the situation is actually confusing? What if it's because someone is being intentionally unclear? Or what if you're being intentionally unclear with yourself about what you already know? You may notice you've been avoiding asking the direct question, the one that matters, the one that would give you clarity but also risk rejection. Do you want me or not? Are we doing this or aren't we? Is this real or am I imagining it? And instead of asking, you're waiting, hoping they'll bring it up, hoping the situation will somehow resolve itself without you having to be vulnerable, hoping clarity will arrive without you having to demand it. But it's possible that waiting is exactly what's keeping you stuck, that the conversation you're avoiding is the only thing that can set you free. In some situations, we stay in ambiguity because it feels safer than knowing the truth. Because as long as we don't ask, we can still hope, we can still imagine, we can still tell ourselves maybe. But that safety, it's costing you right now, today, in your peace of mind, in your ability to move forward, in your capacity to make real choices about your life. Hold on. Let me be really direct about what I'm sensing. There's a conversation that needs to happen. Not eventually, not when the timing is perfect, but now. A conversation where you stop performing and start being honest, where you stop hinting and start asking directly, where you stop protecting everyone's comfort and start honoring your own need for clarity. It's possible you already know what you need to say. The words are already formed. You've rehearsed them in your head 100 times. You know exactly what question needs to be asked, but you're terrified of the answer. Some people experience this as physical sensations. Your chest gets tight when you think about having the conversation. Your stomach drops. Your hands shake. Because you know that once you ask, once you put it out there, everything changes. Either they say yes and you have to show up for real, or they say no and you have to let go. Either way, the comfortable ambiguity ends. This reflection invites you to consider, what are you more afraid of? The answer itself or having to act on the answer? You may notice you're currently in a pattern with this person. They get close, you get hopeful, then they pull back, you get confused. Then they come back, you forgive the distance, and the cycle repeats. And somewhere in that cycle, you've lost yourself. You've stopped asking what you want and started only asking what they want. You've stopped requiring clarity and started accepting whatever scraps of attention they're willing to give. That pattern, that's what needs to be interrupted. That's what this conversation is really about. Let me talk about what might be present in your experience right now around worthiness. It's possible you're afraid to ask for clarity because asking feels like demanding, and you've been taught that your needs are too much, that wanting certainty is needy, that requiring someone to be direct with you is pushing them away. But what if asking for what you need is actually the most self-respecting thing you can do? Some people experience this realization as anger. Anger at themselves for accepting so little, anger at the other person for being so unclear, anger at the whole situation for dragging on this long. And if you're feeling that anger right now is less than hash 0, 5 hashes greater than good. Use it. Let it fuel your courage to finally have the conversation that needs to happen. It can feel like you're sitting across from this person or thinking about them, and suddenly all the unexpressed words are choking you. All the questions you've swallowed, all the clarity you've pretended you don't need, and your body is screaming. Ask. Just ask. Stop protecting them from having to be honest. Stop protecting yourself from potential hurt. Just ask. This reflection invites you to consider, what would it feel like to finally say out loud what you've been thinking for months? You may notice there's a specific moment coming up where you'll have an opportunity to bring this up, not a future moment necessarily, but a present awareness of when this conversation could happen. Maybe you're seeing them soon. Maybe you have plans. Maybe there's a text thread open right now. And you can feel the choice. You can bring it up, or you can let another opportunity pass. You can be brave, or you can stay safe. You can get clarity, or you can stay comfortable in confusion. In some situations, we know exactly when we need to speak up, but we let the moment pass because we're not ready. But what if readiness doesn't come before speaking? What if it comes from speaking? There's something I keep sensing about your current state that feels like you're done. Not done with the person necessarily, but done with the uncertainty, done with the games, done with trying to read minds, done with accepting less than you deserve. It's possible that doneness is exactly what you need to finally have this conversation. Because when you're done, you stop being so careful. You stop editing yourself. You stop prioritizing their comfort over your sanity. Some people experience this as a kind of clarity that feels almost cold. You're not angry. You're not emotional. You're just clear. Clear that you need an answer. Clear that you deserve honesty. Clear that you're willing to walk away if you don't get it. And that clarity, that's power. Let me slow down for a second, because I want to talk about what this conversation might actually look like. It's possible it won't be as dramatic as you're imagining. Maybe you just send the text, I need to know where we stand. Maybe you just say it out loud next time you're together. Are we doing this or not? Maybe you just stop participating in the ambiguity and see what happens. This reflection invites you to consider, what's the simplest, most direct way to ask for what you need to know? You may notice you're currently overthinking how to say it, trying to find the perfect words, trying to phrase it in a way that won't sound desperate or needy or pushy, trying to ask for clarity while somehow not asking for clarity. But what if you just ask? What if you stop trying to manage their reaction and just be honest about what you need? In some situations, the directness itself is the answer. If someone can't handle you asking a simple question about where you stand, that tells you everything you need to know. There's something about your current experience that suggests you already know the answer. It's possible you've been hoping you're wrong, hoping that their actions don't mean what they seem to mean, hoping that their inconsistency is about something other than lack of real interest. But somewhere deep inside, You know. You know whether they want you or not. You know whether this is real or whether you're being strung along. You know whether their words match their actions or whether you're making excuses for the gap. Some people experience this knowing as something they keep trying to talk themselves out of. They look for evidence that contradicts what they feel. They focus on the good moments and minimize the confusing ones. They convince themselves they're being too demanding or too sensitive or too impatient, but that knowing, it's usually right. This reflection invites you to consider, if you're completely honest with yourself, do you already know whether they want you? You may notice that when you think about having this conversation, part of you feels relieved, even though it's scary, even though the answer might hurt. There's a relief in the idea of finally knowing, finally being able to stop wondering, finally being able to make a decision based on reality instead of hope. That relief is telling you something. It's telling you that the uncertainty is worse than any answer could be. It's telling you that you're ready for truth, even if it's not the truth you want. Let me talk about what might happen after this conversation. It's possible they'll finally be direct. They'll either say, yes, I want you, let's do this for real. Or they'll say, no, I don't want what you want. Or they'll say something in between that still isn't clear. And if they give you another non-answer, if they try to keep things ambiguous, that's your answer. Someone who wants you will not leave you confused about it. Some people experience this realization as heartbreaking and liberating at the same time. Heartbreaking because they have to let go of the hope. Liberating because they finally have permission to stop waiting. This reflection invites you to consider, what would change in your life if you stopped waiting for someone to decide whether you're worth choosing? You may notice you're currently giving someone power they haven't earned, the power to determine your worth, the power to keep you in limbo, the power to have access to you without committing to you. And this conversation, it's about taking that power back. It's about saying, I need clarity and I deserve it. It's about requiring someone to be honest instead of accepting breadcrumbs of attention. In some situations, asking the hard question is how we reclaim ourselves, how we stop abandoning our needs to accommodate someone else's comfort with ambiguity. There's something I keep coming back to about respect. It's possible this isn't just about whether they want you. It's about whether they respect you enough to be honest, whether they value you enough to give you clarity, whether they care about you enough to stop leaving you in confusion. Because someone who cares about you doesn't let you wonder where you stand. Someone who respects you doesn't keep you guessing. Someone who wants you makes it clear. Some people experience this as a wake-up call. They realize they've been accepting treatment that doesn't match what they deserve. They realize they've been so focused on being wanted that they forgot to ask if this person is even worthy of wanting them. This reflection invites you to consider, regardless of whether they want you, do you want someone who makes you feel this confused? You remain in complete control of your choices here. You can avoid the conversation. You can stay in the ambiguity. You can keep hoping things will magically become clear without you having to risk vulnerability. Or you can be brave. You can ask. You can demand honesty. You can choose clarity over comfort. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice that just thinking about having this conversation makes you feel stronger, more grounded, more aligned with yourself. Because even though it's scary, it's honoring what you need. It's respecting yourself enough to require respect from others. And that self-respect, that's what changes everything, not the conversation itself, but your willingness to have it. Take what resonates from this. Leave what doesn't. Trust your inner knowing about what's true for you. Before we close, I want to ask you something. What question have you been afraid to ask someone directly? What do you need to know that you've been trying to figure out through hints and signals? Drop it in the comments if you feel called to share. And here's another question. What are you more afraid of? The answer being no. Or continuing to live in this uncertainty? What would change if you finally asked for the clarity you deserve? Do you want me or not? That's the question. And a deep, serious conversation about it, it's not about to happen. It's already here, already necessary, already waiting for you to be brave enough to start it. Not tomorrow, today. Trust yourself with this. Trust that you deserve clarity. Trust that asking for what you need isn't too much. Trust that real love doesn't leave you confused. You don't need to wait for perfect courage. You just need to value yourself enough to ask, I'll see you in the next one. And remember, the conversation that scares you most is probably the one you need to have. Ask the question,